So before we do this reading today, I'm just going to start by saying I had probably the worst hour and a half for anything tech related to get this setup done. I initially was using my Windows partition, but I got the blue screen of death and I kept getting cutouts when using the webcam, which I actually use my mobile as my webcam. So now I switched over to a Linux partition, and we have finally received success after tweaking this thing for about the last hour and a half. And it required me to install codecs, it required me to change parameters, get rid of error states. It is an absolute nightmare. But now we're here, we have the recording setup that we want. Hopefully the sound is doing well, and we can go ahead and proceed with the reading. So what this reading is about today, I'm going to do a bonus reading for Gemini, who had the highest number of views for the last reading, for the last week actually. And I do appreciate the viewership for that. Gemini, you have consistently delivered, and up there with a few other signs. But for this last reading series, I'm going to go ahead and give you a bonus reading. And so we're going to pull some additional messages for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, for now until a month later. Now, before I get started, if you'd like to keep supporting the channel, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so that you don't miss any updates from future postings. And additionally, if you would like to actually not do any tarot readings, but support me by buying me a coffee, you can please do so at the PayPal link included in the profile. So that said, I'm going to go ahead. We'll read for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising from now until a month later and see what's in store. See if we've missed any messages or whatnot. I'm going to just do this as a bonus reading for additional input. So I'm using this Steampunk Tarot here, and this is one of my favorite decks, if not my favorite deck. And it's got some very interesting messages here. This is the Three of Swords, and this is the, what is this? Spirit gauge, which is temperance, in the deck. So I wanted to experiment with this to see what we can find. Let's begin. Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising for the month of August 2025. Please show me any additional messages we have missed for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising from now until a month later. Sign of Gemini from now until a month later. Two more. They shuffle so well. I love these. This is something about the stock images, my love of technology, and this shuffle that just make this deck my absolute favorite. So let's go ahead and begin. We'll see what's happened in the recent past. Okay, this card has come out multiple times today. It's happening in the present for Gemini. And what's happening in the near future for Gemini. Okay. And what's going to be the final outcome for Gemini for this whole period, now until a month later. Same card come out for the last 2 or 3 readings I've done during this whole entire technological cock-up that I've had. That's a good thing. That means we're on the right track. So whatever's taking place in Gemini's life that has been slightly different than the previous message that I've delivered to him, this may be kind of a bit of a warning. And it's been a consistent message for the last 3 readings that I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and see the challenge as well. Okay. So what we have here, we have the, what is this? This is the Knight of Wands, yes. So it's here the Navigator of Message, Navigator, oh God, if I can speak. Please tell me there's not another Mercury retrograde going on right now. Anyways, we have the Knight of Wands here, which is the Navigator of Engines. And this is telling us a little bit about what's going on right now. This is what you don't see coming, but will be coming in the near future. So this is kind of a bit of a warning that I could see in the reading as of today. And it tells us a little bit about aimlessness and misguidedness. Sometimes not really having a sense of direction or purpose in the things that you're doing, and trying to use your energies in a productive manner so you don't burn yourself out. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to firstly look at the recent past. So you had the horologer here, which is the Hierophant in this deck. This is represented by number 5 of the Major Arcana, and it tells us a little bit about a sense of rebellion. It's going against the grain, not wanting to follow convention, and not committing to anything that is normally accepted by the whole of society. So the horologer, or the Hierophant, basically tells us that these are the established instructions for society, the customs, the traditions, the culture that we're supposed to adhere to. When the Hierophant is in the reverse, it says we're going against the established order. We're going to try to do things in a different way, unconventional way as well. So that typically is kind of like my pseudo, how can we say, Aquarian card, which it kind of has the same purpose of rebellion, but in this case it can be kind of a rebel without a cause, depending on the circumstances. So we'll just read some of the cards around it just to make sure. When we look at this, I'm going to clarify the Hierophant reverse. So Hierophant reversed, clarified by the 8 of Pentacles. Now I'm curious about this because it says to me that, you want to work in a different way. Maybe something related to your work or the work that you've put into something. You want to kind of switch things up a bit. And hopefully you can do this in a way that allows you to be a little bit more authentic. Perhaps you have been looking at a certain circumstance in your life where you are going against the grain when it comes to the way you approach large institutions or large groups of order. And, this could be related to your work, but additionally, the way you're approaching it now is that you see that the traditions that have been laid before you in the past, perhaps even a corporation or a company that you've been working for, isn't really giving it's not really giving you the stability that you desired or craved it to give you. And the work that you put into things, it doesn't seem like that's being returned from what you've been giving to whatever this larger societal instrument is. And so what you're now trying to do is to rebel against that system and forge your own path. So you could be, leaving a corporate environment and going into an entrepreneurial stance with your working career. Perhaps you want to do things in an unconventional way, which allows you to have more freedom and, resistance to doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, or in essence, getting into a rut or a routine, because the Hierophant does tend to talk about social mores that don't change over time, and this can actually wear down on a person's psyche if things become monotonous. Now, a lot of this talks about tedium, and related to the 9 of Cups. The 9 of Cups in the reverse is your challenge. So it's about learning exactly what it means to be happy in the work that you're doing, or being content in the work that you're doing as well. Perhaps you're now kind of dealing or struggling with a few of these societal mores that you want to break away from in the recent past. And you have confronted yourself with wanting to find meaning and purpose in the things that you are doing, the work that you're doing, or perhaps even your place in society as a whole. So if we take it and apply it to the latter, what we can then see is that you have a bit of discontent when it comes to the way you approach society. You find that you don't fit in. You're kind of a bit of a misfit. You feel that, society is a bit draining to deal with. Maybe perhaps the societal structures need to be revised in many ways. With this Nine of Cups, that's the message that I'm getting. But additionally, what it tells me is that you don't feel happy in where you are. Maybe you feel like you just want to do things on your own for a bit. Maybe you want a bit more freedom to express yourself in the manner that you see fit. And this can help you to actually, raise that vibration a bit more. Because what I see now, you have the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands in the reverse typically talks about instability as well. And I did mention that. But in this sense, what I'm getting is that you kind of want a change of scenery. So we know, generally speaking, when we talk about Geminis, they don't really have the mindset of doing everything the same way as they always have done all the time. They crave actually stimulation that is going to keep them, excited and engaged in their environment. Gemini does represent being connected to those five senses, and the power of the mind. I'm going to clarify this a little bit. Clarify the Four of Swords reverse. So we have the Six of Pentacles in this, and so what this talks about, and we do see in this card, we do see a group of people, and it almost seems like these are the social mores that have been carried out. Have you ever been sat at the dinner table and you just wondered what kind of conversations, the normies were having while you were daydreaming about exciting adventures that you wanted to go on to? Did you ever kind of sit with yourself at the office and you just wondered to yourself, the normies over there, why exactly are they entertaining themselves with such small-minded things when you could be doing so much more? Now in this, we see that there are three people underneath. There are three people at the table. And it's almost like there's a fourth person that should be there, but he's actually gone off and done something else. And you can see him underneath the Leviathan, if I can hold the card straight. And this talks a lot about what you want to do as a person, as an individual. You want to go off and do something else, and that's probably why you're kind of getting this change off the ground. So looking at this, it almost feels like you're leaving the herd and you're leaving the pack and you're going off for an adventure elsewhere. And maybe this is the thing that you need to kind of revitalize your life right now, because this can take you out of that Nine of Cups kind of energy, which has been plaguing you as you've been trying to fit into the norm. And what you're going to do, you're going to move into a place that's all yours and authentic. You're no longer going to have this give and take represented normally by the Six of Pentacles. You actually, I feel in this, it's time for you to take, and it's time for you to take a leave of absence and go somewhere else so that the other people can continue on with their daily activities while you do something that is more meaningful and fulfilling to yourself. In the near future, you have the Queen of Wands in the reverse. I don't know exactly why that's in the reverse, so we'll clarify just a little bit. Why is this in the reverse? Yeah. There's a little bit of anger and impatience that I get in this reading. The Queen of Wands in the reverse, that can be about not having the confidence to do something, but I don't think that's the case. I see this as kind of being flustered. The Queen of Wands, when she is in the reverse, she can be quite, aggressive, a bit bitchy when it comes to a lot of her attitudes and her way of interacting with other people. But we also got the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands, what it talks about quite a bit is it talks about not being patient anymore, no longer waiting for things to take place, no longer waiting for your ships to come in. This instead talks a little bit about, okay, instead of waiting for my ships to come in to take this new path elsewhere, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to flutter away in my typical butterfly fashion and go towards something That's going to make me a bit happier. What we are trying to make sure that we have, though, is a bit of balance in this, because what I see in the long term, we have the King of Wands in the reverse, and what he talks about is kind of being a bit aimless and being a bit reckless to a degree. And in some ways, it can also talk about someone who uses their charm and attraction to manipulate others. So you may have the spirit of rebellion within you, but what is important for you to do is to make sure that you have made the right choice. This is the Lovers. And in this deck, the Lovers are called the Explorers as well. So having that at the bottom of the deck, that is actually quite interesting, because it tells us that you're no longer interested in staying put. You want to go out and explore, but just make sure that you have the right motivation to do so. It's not to say that you're wrong in wanting to break free from the herd, but it is in this case, how disruptive is your rebellion going to be to the normies that sit around you? We have here the Four of Pentacles in the reverse as well. You have a lot of reverse cards, and you've had a lot of reverse cards through the previous readings that I'd done before everything just went tits up here in the recording studio, or the recording section of the flat in which I'm staying in. I'm going to clarify this a little bit more. Clarify King of Wands in reverse again. I'm getting a lot of reverse cards. So we have the Seven of Wands in the reverse as well. You have two cards actually here. The Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands, both in the reverse. And this is about a person who just no longer wants to be a part of this particular system. It's very interesting that you're getting this. And, I remember the reading that I gave you not too long ago. I think it was last week or this week. And we talked a little bit about, you being able to step into your own energy in order to reclaim what it was that you were, your authentic self. And the King of Wands is one of the more authentic groups of people in the entire deck. He is the quintessential authentic person. He doesn't care. He's brash. He's brave. He does things. He's a go-getter. He's a trendsetter. And in this case, you might even be a jet setter. But in this, you may need to do a bit of planning that will allow you to realize the next steps that you want to take. Because right here, you have the Strength card at the bottom of the deck, which is the Engineer here. And the Engineer is tasked with taking the resources and the materials around them in order to create something that is supposed to be of benefit to society or to serve a specific function. This is the unlimited creativity that is found within the number 8. And the number 8 on its side is the infinity symbol, which shows that unlimited potential and that reservoir of strength that you can tap into. And in this, what I see, we have this at the bottom of the deck. We have someone who's working on a massive robot, which has the ability to literally crush this person. You can even see that the robot is wielding a bloody sword, if not a broadsword, and it has the capability to absolutely crush the person in front of him. But because this is the engineer has to be clever enough in order to be able to manipulate this piece of fine machinery, which is going to be used for a specific function. Robot wars, games, going into military service, things of that nature. It's like a tank or an airplane. You have to be knowledgeable of that piece of machinery, of that piece of kit, in order for you to use it properly. So, despite the stage of rebellion that you're in, it's time for you to now tap into how you're going to use the materials and the resources around you to be able to effectively wield this rebellion. And what I want to do now is pull one of the Lenormand cards so that we can get a message that maybe clarifies this a little bit more. All right. So, what is the advice or message from the oracle that we can give? All right, that popped out. So we have number 4. This is the house. This is the security that we talked about. You know, I remember doing one of your other readings, the Emperor popped out, which is also a number 4. I'll clarify with the Lenormand deck book, which can tell us a little bit about it. The number 4 actually is the house. It's about home, comfort, structure, security, settling down, strong foundations, and staying put. This is precisely what you're getting rid of now. Maybe you've been in an environment in which you have, you know, had too many creature comforts. Things have been the same all the time. Now you're wanting to break free from that regime. You know, you've been living in the same state, you've been living in the same country, the same province for too long, doing the same things over and over again, working with the same people. You may want to just work abroad. You may want to take a gap year. You may want to even just like get up and work remote, you know, work from home from now on. You know, you don't want to be bothered with other people, just like in the 6 of Pentacles that we saw here. And the 4 of Engines is the card of the move. It's the instability that you're feeling now. So this could go one of 2 ways. It's either you're breaking free from this place of stability, or you're trying to move into a place of stability after going through so much instability throughout your life. And perhaps what this is what this is all about. It could go one of both ways, and those are the 2 scenarios that I see. So take it as it resonates with yourself, and whatever you do, make sure that you look towards the resources and your knowledge to be able to either A, create that place of stability, or B, to disrupt it and to find the best course of action to move forward. Because this is what these cards are telling me. Because so many of them are in the reverse. It's telling me that you're trying to break free from these systems of order and hierarchy that you have been subjected to for very long. And we know that the Geminis do not play that game. So that is your reading for today. Thanks so much. As always, this is Lenormand Tarot. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so that you don't miss any updates from future postings. Feel free to leave me a coffee at the PayPal link included in the profile. And also, please block and report those scammers. As always, I do not give personal readings at the moment until I can get the content up and running. So, thank you so much for your time and attention. Congratulations again, Gemini, for your bonus reading for this week. And until next time, love and light. Bye now.